But what about the Wookiees?
It was a good one. I like that. I love that works. Welcome to the show. Another happy landing. How's it going, everybody? We are back. Another happy landing here for a new episode. Finally got my background starting to look nice. Got to figure out my lights because I'm so white. Oh my gosh, I can never figure it out. But we're Tanner and I are here. Another happy landing. Before we get into this, thank you to the Movie Meal patrons, Steve, Kimberly, and Karen, for supporting the show. Go get some merch. I got the Thanks for Watching Mom hoodie on, or sweatshirt on, shirt on. I can't talk right now. Shirt on. We got a couple of things for this episode. Might be shorter. Who knows? We don't know when we're reviewing season 7 of the Clone Wars. Finally finished during our rewatch. Don't know how these episodes will be. Go check out last episode. Go check out all the cool stuff we got on. Before we get into that, we'll start with Bad Batch, episode 3. So we'll just ask Tanner right off the bat here. Tanner, what do you think of the third episode of Bad Batch?
Pretty good. Didn't blow my socks off or anything, but I think there's some good moments in it. Oh man, it was incredibly wholesome. It was very, very, very wholesome, and I really, I don't know how they do it, of like making me so attached to this Omega character. I'm really like shocked and surprised as to how well they're doing that story. It feels a little Grogu-esque, but in a different manner. So I mean, I guess I'm okay with it. I don't know. What were your overall thoughts on it?
I agree. Wholesome episode. Liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. It's getting to know Omega and the relationship between her and Hunter. I do hope we're not going to go down the Mandalorian path, and this whole show is going to be about that. I really liked seeing Crosshairs lead a new group. I liked them going out and taking everybody out. It looks like they've upped his inhibitor chip, and it looks like the Kaminoans are up to something here. Looks like they might be up to something. There's a big theory going around that they are actually going to bring in Starkiller, and that he's going to be a clone that they create, like an enhanced clone to fight. That they're going to bring him in from the games. That's a theory going around right now, and bring Sam Witwer back.
Interesting.
I don't know if I love that, but
I'm not crazy about that, just because I feel like the Starkiller games, they're fun, but they feel like the Force gone way out of control.
Yeah,
but
that the Force Unleashed game is exactly what everybody wanted from Last Jedi. Like, that's what it is. They wanted a Luke who could rip Star Destroyers out of space with the Force. Like, that's what they wanted. And I like the games. They're fun. I don't know if I'd be fine if Sam Witwer came back in some manner, but I don't know if I want Starkiller specifically. I mean, he'd have to have a new name. You can't go with Starkiller again after they named the base after him.
Right.
I just don't think you can do that. But yeah, I think the episode was good, wholesome. The very end was very sweet, very charming. I really liked it. And I'm excited to see what they're going to end up doing here with Crosshairs. It looks like they're going to lead into something cool, and I'm excited to see that. Any more Tarkin we can get works for me. So yeah, I mean, good episode. I mean, it's only 28 minutes. It's hard to review these episodes one at a time because they're so short, but
right.
Yeah, it was good.
I mean, in terms of like theorization, it kind of makes me wonder of like, do you think that at some point that they're going to try to put the clones out to pasture? In a sense?
I don't know. I honestly just can't answer for you. I don't know if they will.
Fair enough.
There's no direction right now. We're not sure. This is exactly the feeling I feel everybody had with Mandalorian, like the episode 3 and 5, or 3 and 4, something like that, of the first season, where everybody was like, "Where are they going with this?" But they clearly had a plan, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Where I'm enjoying what I'm watching, and they have a plan, but I just don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go. I just have no idea. They could maybe we'll just follow the Bad Batch, run around, and we'll watch Crosshairs run around, and they'll never meet again. I don't know.
I don't know at this point in time. There's no inkling in my mind that I feel as though that the Kaminoans, my ultimate dream of the Kaminoans turning on the Empire, I don't think is going to happen.
They're up to something. I don't know if they're going to turn their army against them, but they're up to something.
Something's happening. I think the line was before we left them again, was they were saying we need to produce something even better.
Yeah.
And I mean, isn't there some like pretty hard established rules, I thought, of like it's either really hard or almost impossible to be able to clone a force sensitive?
I've never thought about it and I've never heard anything about it, but I would assume it's tougher. They had a line where they talked about how the material they got from Jango Fett is starting to go.
Degrade.
I noticed,
right?
Yeah, and they need more, which is kind of interesting to me. If you're cloning it, and then you have a bunch of clones around with the exact same DNA, shouldn't you be able to just snag one of them and go from there?
I think the idea is if you continue cloning a clone that genetically the sequencing down the line starts to get off and you do start to get some crazy mutations.
Sure.
Or effectively think of like inbreeding.
Yeah.
Or whereas if you're able to derive it from the same piece of genetic material, it's just you're continually moving off of it. But since the death of Jango Fett, don't really have much of it left.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I was always under the impression that after a point in time with the clones and whatnot, that they actually kept the Kaminoans in service to the Empire, and that some of them were clones and like gene stock of people that they liked and just continued using them after the Jango Fett sample degraded fully. So it's interesting to see if they're just going to completely take away the clones at some point in time, because I guess we never really have like a hard delineation of what happens, and I think that shows that this is going to answer that question.
Yeah. Yeah, they always allude to it just phases out. They just phase out the clones. They just, they're used until they're all dead. They stop production.
Right.
But yeah, maybe the Bad Batch is all about them doing mutations. Maybe they finally cracked the code, and maybe they're going to combine into one clone all of what, all the mutations they have, being able to hunt or track and, be super smart, all these. I hope they're up to something. I think it makes the show a lot more interesting if they are.
I did think it was pretty interesting. We see for the first time in the episode stormtroopers actually ever be used, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But and they really had that like snarky dude that was like, "I'm going to take your position. This is the thing that I'm going to do."
Oh, I knew he was dying. You knew he was gone.
I didn't know. I was kind of expecting that it was going to be more of the situation where he, like, Crosshair was going to assume his mantle, assume his position, and really put him into place. Was really kind of where I thought that was going. I didn't actually expect him to just be greased in the beginning. But that was pretty cool. I liked it.
I did too. Anything else about the show, or should we move on?
Man, that cute little hut that Wrecker made for Omega in the back.
Cute.
Oh my gosh,
it's charming.
I loved it. It. But enjoying it. Decent episode.
Yeah, I agree. So as we transition here, let's do a little book update. We were reading Dark Disciple. It's taken us a little bit longer because so much of our focus was on Clone Wars. I have a little under 2 hours left. I think I got an hour and 50. Loving the book. I'm very excited to finish it off. Curious where it's going to end. What's your update?
Let me think. I think we are both roughly at the same position. Where spoilers, anyone that did like spoilers for the book, I've been really enjoying it. I think anyone that is a fan of Clone Wars should go read this book. It's quite good. I like it a lot. Quinlan Voss turns and briefly becomes the apprentice for Dooku.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool and interesting turn that we've gotten to at this point. Also, not to mention the relationship that we've seen Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos develop. Is really great. Did you feel as though that it was earned? You didn't feel as though that it was like these two get together and Ventress has been this like really hard and cold person. You don't feel as though that it wasn't unearned in the book, do you?
Nope. I thought it was all earned. I really enjoy this book. Yeah, I think it's all earned.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm in the same.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, for sure. I was for a hot minute there. I was actually kind of surprised, but I mean, it's like they really kind of go into explanation of like they've been working together for quite some time.
Yeah.
And also there was this kind of like initial attraction. She was very much against like he's attractive, but he's a man, and I've been betrayed by men constantly in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep him at arm's length. And then the relationship develops. It adds a really awesome and interesting arc to Asajj Ventress, and I love that.
I agree.
But boy, if I could put a little bug in Disney's and Dave Filoni's ear of like, dude, let's get like a little just like 6 episode, 7 episode, small like mini season to just go through this whole thing and show us this little arc, because man, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I do too. I'm excited to talk more in depth. I want to hold off too much until we get to the ending because, Game of Thrones, your ending can change drastically, in the last 2 hours.
That is very true.
So before we get into season 7 here too, you mentioned to me at the top of the show, so you watch Star Wars Biomes on Disney Plus, which is like, I believe it's like a tour throughout like the places they shot the films, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you think of it? I haven't watched it.
It's basically, it's a combination of they take like real life world areas that they're basically like flying a helicopter through and showing you the Star Wars universe. Is like, it starts off in Hoth. And I thought it was going to be it's going to be pretty cool. It's just going to show us like the landscapes of these areas, and that's all we're going to get. But no, as you actually like fly through it, you like, for instance, over the Hoth one, there was like a laser bolt, or what looked like a laser bolt or a meteor that came down and hit, and all of a sudden a probe droid came out and then starts like flying by you. Little tauntauns go off in the distance, and then you start to crest a hill and you see a bunch of AT-ATs that are starting to make their way towards Echo Base. And I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And there's just some like really atmospheric music that's playing in the background. Dude, it's ASMR for seeing the Star Wars universe. And I'm so on board with that.
I need to check it out.
It's awesome to just... I'm super excited to just slap it on in the background as I'm like doing whatever and just have it playing. So excited for that.
Yeah. No, I got to check it out.
If you get the chance of either like you're working on something or typing something up or even sending a couple emails, and that you can just like set it into the background as you're watching, you'll hear some of the noises that are happening. And oh man, it's great. Highly recommended for any Star Wars fans.
Yeah, I got to check it out. That sounds cool. I like seeing the behind the scenes kind of stuff too, and things like that. I think it's a lot of fun. So should we jump into season 7 here?
Heck yeah, my guy. So,
season 7, I think I actually did on the channel when it came out, a year ago now. And I remember thinking, really like Bad Batch, the middle Ahsoka story, okay, and then thinking the ending was a movie. The last 4 episodes was an absolutely fantastic movie, and that is where I still stand. I love this season. I think it's great. What was your thoughts?
Dude, I'm in the same exact boat. The Bad Batch episode, or the Bad Batch, the 4-episode arc for the Bad Batch, I think is good. It's serviceable. It doesn't like blow my socks off by any regards. Once we get to the beginning of the Ahsoka arc with Gone Without a Trace, I think that's the weakest point in this. In in the final season. Not to say that it's not like horrific, because there are some Star Wars fans that I've talked to that say that it is just absolute garbo and that they just can't stand it in the slightest.
The middle part?
Yeah, the middle part.
Those are people that just want what they want. They want lightsabers. They want saber fights. And if they don't get it every 2 seconds, they complain.
Right. But it's an important moment for Ahsoka's story arc. It is the moment that she realizes that the Jedi are not doing enough, and they say that they are peacekeepers, but really at this point in time with the Jedi Order, they're military.
Yeah.
And if she gets reminded that there are entire sections literally under the Jedi's nose that they're not doing anything to help out, and that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And I like what they've done with that. We get these two interesting characters that have a lot, more representation. Like, that's cool.
Yeah. That's very cool.
But boy, do they, I don't know. There's a couple of story writing moments in this that I just feel as though are kind of weak. And that's why it drags it down for me. I still think it's good, but it just drags it down. Particularly when they get captured by the Pikes. Like, they start off in a jail in the beginning of an episode, and then they end in a jail the same episode.
I think the Pike thing is just to, bring back the Pikes for his little thing and how important they were throughout the Clone Wars as a whole. I think a lot of the Star Wars fans that really, really, really complain about episodes 5 through, 8, I think they haven't watched Clone Wars in forever, so they wanted a final incredible season, so they need something to complain about. Look, I just rewatched the whole thing. Let me tell you, that arc I would watch a dozen times over some of the other arcs in this show. Are you kidding me?
Holy crap.
Anything with Jar Jar Binks in this show is absolutely horrifically bad. And I think this is fine. I think it's good for Ahsoka's story, help fleshes her out a little bit. It's, it's not the worst thing. It's fun. It's not too kiddish. They still try to do something. It's better than the love story she gets in other seasons. And then it leads into the final 4 episodes, 9 through 12, which is a movie. It's a movie. It's awesome. Maul comes back. The fight they have on the rafters is so freaking fantastic. I love
the like window blowing in,
yeah,
and like the sparks coming by as they're just staring each other down. Oh,
and Maul getting captured, screaming at the top of his lungs that you don't understand or you don't know what's about to happen.
You're all going to burn.
Yeah.
You're all going to die.
It's so freaking good. And I don't know if you've seen this. If you've seen the cuts of people have taken what happens in episode 12 where Ahsoka and Rex are trying hard not to kill the clones. And then it just cuts to Obi-Wan and Yoda just absolutely slaughtering the clones. You gotta suspend some disbelief when they didn't know they were gonna make this show and they didn't know where it was gonna lead. But Ahsoka also, was, it's a little different when you're in the Clone Wars and she's with her crew that she fought this whole war with. So it's a bit different. And the stuff with Rex is great. I mean, the ship going down, I love it. And the final shot is my favorite part of the whole final season, where we get the final shot of we get that incredibly beautiful shot of Ahsoka, with the helmets and all that in the snow, where everybody thought would be Hoth, wasn't Hoth. And then we get a cut to a little bit later, and it's Darth Vader, and he's there and finds what she left, and it's just fantastic. I'm getting speechless and having a hard time talking about it because I love it so much. And it is watching a movie. I remember when I first watched this the first time, and then I did it again here during my rewatch. I turned all the lights off, put it on the big TV, put the surround sound on, because you have to for those final episodes. It's just too good. But anyway,
right from the get-go though, like you get the feeling of like this is something completely different, because they completely change up the look of the title. and they make it look like the like classic old school stuff, and there's no you don't get the Clone Wars fanfare in the beginning.
Yeah.
It just like, it's quiet and it moves straight into it.
Yeah.
And boy, I just, from top to bottom, I cannot sing the praises of this enough. The action sequences, like even just the siege of Mandalore as everyone's flying in, we get like some good old classic gunship stuff, and I love it. We see one of the other beginning moments that I still really love about this one was the introduction of Obi-Wan Kenobi as he's like on the
love it.
There, he's been pinned down, and then Anakin. You finally see the arrogance of Anakin, coming through in that moment, and oh man, such a great opener, and but boy, like, does this kick off when Maul gets introduced with Phantom Apprentice?
It's true.
Just, I cannot. It's one of my favorite lightsabers, if not my favorite lightsaber duels, because
it competes.
Yeah, it's not overly flashy. They motion captured the whole thing, so it's very smooth, and boy, does it! Oh gosh, it just pops off so nice.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is they took notes from the complaints that we've had for years. They said, okay, people don't want the over the top from Revenge of the Sith, but they don't want the jabby jabs of Rey. So let's find a middle ground, and that's exactly what they do, and it is awesome. It literally, I think it's top fiver, and I think it really does compete up there with some of the best fights. Like, I mean, it's up there with Phantom Menace, Return of the Jedi, Empire. It's so good. It's so good.
Love it.
And they put him in a position that you don't see as often. They're up high. They're moving a lot. We've seen them kind of be on some, specific areas a little more stable, and they're not there. They have to use a lot of their athleticism, and it's just cool to see. Sorry, I cut you off, but go ahead.
Oh no, you're all good. But there was one thing that I was noticing in this one. Remember, I had that complaint at one point in time where Boba Fett goes into the hyperdrive room with just a blaster and then takes out all of the hyperdrives in the starship.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we get Maul showing up. He doesn't have a lightsaber, but he just uses the insane power that he has at his disposal to just rip out these 4 hyperdrives out of there. And that is something that makes far more sense to me than some kid running around with a simple blaster just taking out this thing. Love, such a great moment.
Use of the Force in that moment. It's so good, man. Oh my gosh, Maul is so good. And I've already started Revenge of the Sith. I got maybe about 45 minutes into it the other day, and going right from the end of this right into Revenge of the Sith is nice, because you start thinking about, okay, you start thinking, all right, Siege of Mandalore has just ended. All right, Obi-Wan and Anakin are now where we're at. And you think about, okay, I know where Ahsoka's at right now. And then I know as I continue getting in through the movie, I'm going to be sitting there being like, okay, well, now while everything's happening, Ahsoka is fighting Darth Maul on another planet. Like, it's just fantastic. The ending is so good. I'm glad they gave them the money and the budget to do it. Go ahead.
It makes me want... I know that there's a nerd out there that's already done this, but I need to see it, of someone that's gone through and taken both pieces of media and then mashed them together.
Yeah.
In the moment that... I would love to see a cut together of everything that happens in there. Yeah. Though, it does make me curious of, like, when... I don't know how you cut in the like escape from the Venator. I don't know where you cut that into Revenge of the Sith to make it work. But then again, I don't, come to think of it, when Order 66 occurs in Revenge of the Sith, I don't think there's much left of the movie, right?
No, I mean, it's just the fallout, right? It happens. Anakin turns. Obi-Wan gets shot out of the sky, escapes, they go back. It's like we go through like the day, Like you go through like
Right.
a one more, 10 more hours is really all it is because it doesn't take them long to fly from place to place. So, yeah, it's really not that long.
So I mean, I guess you could actually slice that in pretty easily. It seems like to me, but boy, that's going to be a 4 hour sit down that you're going to have to
Yeah,
do for that.
I think by the time the order comes in, Ahsoka gets out. I think by the time she has crashed and has buried everybody and leaves, is probably about the time Obi-Wan's about to send his distress call. I feel
Okay.
like he's by that point snuck back, met with Yoda, come up with the plan. Like I think it's probably around there or their big confrontation. Like I feel like by the time that ship goes down and Ahsoka's burying everybody, they're getting close to the climax of Revenge of the Sith because it can't be too
Right.
much. I mean, some time has passed by the time we get the shot of Vader showing up because not only has Obi-Wan's got to take him out, but he's got to be fixed, healed, and then ready to actually go do things like search for people. So that's
I'm
my
just
viewing.
thinking. I'm just thinking like because you got to keep the two. You got to keep the climax of them falling out of hyperspace and that whole big fight as they're falling down to the moon. You got to keep that next to, I would say, the Obi-Wan Anakin and the Senate duel between Sidious and Yoda. Just because it's gonna be a little bit. I guess it's gonna be a little bit weird in my head if you go from like Ahsoka doing the whole looking over very sadly over the downed Star Destroyer, and then all of a sudden you jump into like the insane battle.
If you're doing a supercut for sure, I'm thinking just in context, not as a supercut, like in context of the story. Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, for sure if you're doing a supercut. But do you have anything else you want to talk about of the finale here?
Oh gosh, I had one more thing. Dude, the Order 66 moment still hits me so hard.
Yeah, same.
Every single time.
Same.
It's especially what Clone Wars does, and this is why I think it just elevates this time period of Star Wars so much more. Is we get all of these times through good and bad episodes as we're working throughout the seasons. We're still getting attached to these characters because even though they might not be in a great episode one moment, they're in another great episode that's really working on their character and engrossing us in what's happening. So by the end of it, you get to see Rex and the shaking that he has in the moment, the tears that are welling in his eye, to then just the full-blown switch of him being like, nope, we're going to hunt her down, we're going to kill her. It just guts you every single time.
Yeah, no, it really does, because you fall in love with these clones, Rex, and even Cody. Like now when you watch Cody shoot down Obi-Wan, like it hits way harder because they've really fleshed out who he is. So yeah, no, I agree with you. It is hard, and watching it in the movie here coming up is going to be tough too. I think it's just anytime I see Order 66, I just get sad.
Yeah. Oh, it does make me curious. I guess one last thing that I had. I Googled online of like how many Jedi survived Order 66, and I think someone was throwing the number out of like 100 or 200. And would you want to get some more interesting storytelling of like maybe, I don't know, one or two other Jedi that have actually survived Order 66 starting from the moment of it happening? Like some individual stories like that. Would you ever be interested in something?
Yeah, I would. I mean, they've dabbled into that. We got that with Kanan. Somebody probably in a meeting years ago said the same thing to Dave Filoni, and we get it with Kanan. You get it with Cal Kestis in the games. So I think I would like to see it. I still think it's possible for Obi-Wan, and that the story is him leaving Tatooine because he gets a distress signal from a Jedi he knew. And maybe we'll see that backstory of that Jedi, which would be interesting. But yeah, if they came out and said, hey, we're going to do a movie or a TV show or something about a Jedi who escaped, and what happened in their life after would be cool. You just can't connect it too much. We've got to stop connecting too much is just the thing they need to stop doing so much here. But yeah, no, I'd be totally down.
Yeah, I know. Someone was complaining to me about the Bad Batch episode. How they went and visited the deserter clone of their, like, oh man, it makes the galaxy feel too small. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a fair criticism to level towards Star Wars because they like to interconnect.
They love having it small.
Everything. I guess that was one of those, and sometimes I do agree with that. I guess that was one of those moments where I was kind of like, nah. We've only seen that character once, and it feels like something the Bad Batch would probably know about.
Yeah, I think all of that moment I think makes sense. It makes sense. We've met that character before. We know there was a clone deserter hiding out. If you are now clone deserters, you probably are going to go with the rumored clone deserter that you know about. Like, you just probably are. Like, Echo was there. Echo met him. Echo was there the first episode. So I think that makes complete sense. What's small is when Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter. That's making the universe stupidly small. But I don't think this is making it, especially in the shows. I think you can be a little bit more connected in the animated shows than in the movies. But yeah, no. So I think that's a bit whack myself. But anything else?
Think that's all I got. Boy, I'd be really curious. I think whenever we do like an all ranking of this, that I'm actually going to take those last 4 episodes out and treat it like it's its own movie of like ranking.
Sure. Thing. Put it into its own movie. All right. Well,
yeah.
We can talk about it. All right. Well, guys, next week is going to be Revenge of the Sith. Odds are we'll have finished the book and started a new one. So we'll have a lot to talk about. These episodes have been a bit shorter, probably about to get a lot longer. So just watch out for that with a Revenge of the Sith review coming. Thank you to the Movie Meal patrons. Go get some merch. And for another happy landing, we are out of here. Bye-bye.